I still think Riker behaved unprofessionally when Star Trek TNG replaced Captain Picard. I was no fan of Captain Edward Jellicoe Ronnie Cox in Star Trek The Next Generation, but I was not entirely on the side of Commander William Riker Jonathan Frakes either. Usually the USS Enterprise D was under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard Patrick Stewart, whose shoes would be difficult to fill even in the best of times. When Captain Jellicoe takes command of the Enterprise in TNG's Season 6 two-parter, Chain of Command, things quickly become complicated. While on a covert mission, Picard is captured by Cardassians, placing Jellicoe in a very difficult situation. From the moment Jellicoe steps on board the Enterprise, it's clear his command style is vastly different from that of Picard's. Somewhat overbearing, Jellicoe wants everything done by the book, and he immediately begins giving orders upon his arrival. This approach initially catches Commander Riker off guard, as he points out how difficult it is for the crew to change things like duty shifts so drastically. Still, Riker does not become truly insubordinate until Jellicoe refuses to send a rescue mission for Captain Picard. While I agree with Riker's stance, his approach was unprofessional and could have cost him his career. Riker may have been right, but he was unprofessional with Captain Jellicoe. After the Cardassians capture Picard, Riker understandably wants to plan a rescue mission. Not only does he prevent this, but Jellicoe also refuses to acknowledge that Picard was even on a Starfleet mission. This admission would have granted Picard the rights of a prisoner of war, preventing the Cardassians from continuing their torture. Jellicoe insists that this would be playing into the Cardassians' hands, prompting Riker to angrily retort, "I can't believe you're willing to sacrifice Captain Picard's life as a negotiating tactic." Although Counselor Deanna Troy Marina Sirtis attempts to smooth things over, the damage is done, and Jellicoe relieves Riker of duty. While his heart was in the right place, Riker let his emotions get the better of him and momentarily forgot his place in the Enterprise. He is the first officer, after all, whose main job is to support his captain. There were other ways Riker could have approached Jellicoe if he felt the captain was making a mistake, but his angry outbursts did not help anyone, nor did his apparent pride in his own insubordination. Captain Jellicoe later needs Riker's help to pilot a shuttlecraft, and the two men hash out their feelings about one another. They agree, but do not exactly end on the best of terms. If Captain Picard had not returned, it's unclear what Riker's Starfleet career would have looked like moving forward. Jellicoe would not have wanted Riker as his first officer and would likely have kept LT. Commander Data Brent Spiner in that position. It's possible Starfleet would have offered Riker his own command, but Jellicoe certainly wouldn't have put in a good word for him. As a viewer who had come to know Captain Picard and his crew throughout Star Trek The Next Generation, I found it easy to side with Commander Riker, but he was playing a dangerous game going off on Jellicoe like that. Thankfully, Jellicoe does secure Picard's rescue in the end, and the status quo aboard the Enterprise is restored. But it leaves me wondering if there's a parallel universe out there where Jellicoe remained in command of the Enterprise and Riker got stuck in command of a second-rate starship on the other side of the galaxy. There are many great debates in Star Trek lore, Kirk versus Picard, the ethics of the Prime Directive, whether or not the holodeck is a lawsuit waiting to happen. But here's one I never see enough outrage about: Commander William Riker's behavior when Captain Picard was replaced by Captain Edward Jellicoe in Star Trek The Next Generation's two-parter Chain of Command. I've been thinking about it for years, and I'm here to say it plainly: Riker behaved unprofessionally. Yes, still. Let's set the stage. Captain Picard is reassigned to a covert mission, and in his absence, Starfleet installs a hard-nosed, no-nonsense officer named Jellicoe as acting captain of the Enterprise. From the jump, Jellicoe makes it clear he's here to do things his way. He changes the duty schedule, demands a 4-shift rotation, and shakes up the crew's routine. This is a man prepping the flagship for possible war with the Cardassians, not running a Federation cruise liner. And what does Riker do? He resists. He questions orders. He scoffs at Jellicoe behind his back and sometimes right to his face. The rest of the bridge crew follows suit with a kind of collective side I usually reserved for malfunctioning food replicators. Watching it all unfold, it's easy to get caught up in the crew's discomfort. We like these characters. We love Picard. Jellicoe is abrasive and doesn't drink tea. But here's the uncomfortable truth: Jellicoe was within his authority. And Riker? Riker behaved like a passive-aggressive teenager whose favorite teacher got replaced by a substitute who actually assigns homework. I get it. Jellicoe wasn't warm and fuzzy. He didn't massage egos or host poker nights. He didn't pretend the Enterprise was a floating utopia. But maybe that's because he didn't have time to. The man had hours to prepare a Galaxy-class starship for a potential interstellar conflict. And when your crew includes a Klingon security officer and a Betazoid counselor in a catsuit, a little discipline might not be the worst idea. Let's talk specifics. One of Jellicoe's first demands is that Riker reorganize the duty roster to accommodate 4 shifts instead of the standard 3. This is not a trivial ask, but it's also not unreasonable. More shifts mean shorter hours, less burnout, and more flexibility in emergencies. Riker complains. He drags his feet. He rolls his eyes so hard I thought he'd sprain something. When Jellicoe presses him, Riker implies the crew can't handle the change, like they're union workers fighting a coffee shortage. Then there's the real kicker. Riker refuses a direct order to pilot a dangerous mission into Cardassian space. Jellicoe, knowing the mission is crucial, relieves Riker of duty and turns to Lieutenant Commander Geordi Forge instead. Now, let's unpack that. In Star Trek, there's a sacred hierarchy. The chain of command exists to protect order, especially in times of crisis. Refusing an order, unless it's illegal or immoral, is insubordination. Riker wasn't being a noble rebel. He was being obstinate. He let his personal feelings about Jellicoe override his duty. And here's the wildest part. By the end of the episode, Jellicoe is proven right. He outmaneuvers the Cardassians, rescues Picard, and prevents a war. He even has the grace to reinstate Riker and let him fly the final mission, something he didn't have to do. If Jellicoe lacked charm, he didn't lack leadership. He got the job done, and history vindicated him. So why does fandom still give Riker a pass? It's partly because TNG framed the story from the crew's perspective. Jellicoe is shot like an outsider, his music cues sharp and severe. Riker has the benefit of narrative sympathy. He's our beloved XO, the bearded embodiment of charm. But watch the episode again with fresh eyes, and you'll see a man who refused to adapt, who let loyalty to one captain blind him to his duty to another. Leadership isn't just about camaraderie. It's about professionalism, especially when things get uncomfortable. Jellicoe was a disruptor, yes, but Starfleet isn't about comfort zones. If Riker couldn't handle that, then maybe he wasn't ready for the center chair after all. And maybe that's why it took so long for him to accept his own command. I'm not saying Riker should have thrown Jellicoe a birthday party. I'm saying he should have done his job. The needs of the many outweigh the feelings of one emotionally flustered first officer. And let's be honest, if Picard had watched that whole ordeal from a distance, what would he have thought? Would he have applauded Riker's defiance? Or would he have raised a single eyebrow and said, "Number 1, I'm disappointed"? So yes, even decades later, I still think Riker behaved unprofessionally. In space, no one can hear you sulk, but they can sure see it in the logs. Let me know if you'd like this polished,